gender stereotypes. At the heart of human society lies one of our most deeply embedded mental shortcuts: gender stereotypes. These powerful beliefs shape our world from the moment we're born, when we wrap babies in pink or blue blankets, setting the stage for a lifetime of expectations. These stereotypes act like invisible scripts, telling men they must be strong, unemotional, and successful providers, while women should be nurturing, emotional, and focused on family. Think of it like a theater, where actors are handed their roles before they even understand what acting means. What makes gender stereotypes particularly powerful is how they self-perpetuate. When we expect boys not to cry, they learn to suppress emotions. When we assume girls are naturally better at caring for others, we guide them toward nurturing roles. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy that spans generations. The workplace becomes a stark battlefield for these beliefs. Women are often seen as too emotional for leadership, yet not nurturing enough if they pursue career success. Men face criticism for choosing to be stay-at-home fathers or pursuing feminine careers like nursing or teaching. The cost of these stereotypes is enormous. Men suffer in silence with mental health issues, afraid to seek help. Women hit glass ceilings in their careers, fighting assumptions about their capabilities. It's like wearing invisible chains that limit our full human potential. Yet, understanding these stereotypes is the first step to breaking them. When we recognize these patterns, we can consciously choose to write new scripts, creating a world where human potential isn't limited by gender expectations. Racial/ethnic stereotypes. Racial and ethnic stereotypes are like ancient maps drawn with broad, inaccurate strokes. They simplify complex human realities into manageable but distorted pictures. These oversimplified beliefs have shaped societies, policies, and personal interactions for centuries. These stereotypes often begin with visible differences, but quickly extend to assumptions about intelligence, behavior, and character. It's as if we're trying to read entire books by only looking at their covers, missing the rich stories within. What makes these stereotypes particularly dangerous is their self-reinforcing nature. When we expect certain behaviors from specific groups, we notice only the examples that confirm our beliefs, while ignoring countless examples that contradict them. It's like wearing glasses that only let us see what we already believe. The impact of these beliefs ripples through society like waves in a pond. They affect everything from job opportunities and housing to education and healthcare. A person's name on a resume, accent in a conversation, or appearance in a store can trigger a cascade of unconscious assumptions. These stereotypes also create a psychological burden known as stereotype threat. When people are aware of negative stereotypes about their group, they may unconsciously conform to or fight against these expectations, using mental energy that could be better spent elsewhere. The irony is that while stereotypes attempt to simplify human diversity, they actually blind us to the incredible richness of human culture and experience. Each person's story is unique, shaped by countless factors beyond their racial or ethnic background.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Age stereotypes. Age stereotypes are perhaps our most peculiar prejudices because they target our future selves. Unlike other forms of bias, these are stereotypes that we'll all potentially face as we move through life's stages. Youth stereotypes paint a picture of irresponsible, tech-obsessed individuals who lack work ethic and respect for tradition. Meanwhile, older adults are often viewed as technologically inept, set in their ways, and out of touch with modern life. It's as if we've created artificial boundaries between generations that prevent us from seeing our shared humanity. What makes age stereotypes particularly fascinating is their fluidity across cultures and time. In some societies, age brings wisdom and respect. In others, youth is prized above all. This shows how these beliefs are cultural constructs rather than universal truths. The workplace has become a battlefield for age stereotypes, where OK Boomer meets entitled millennials. These labels create artificial divisions that ignore the vast diversity within each generation and the shared challenges we all face. Perhaps most ironic is how these stereotypes affect our own aging process. Research shows that people who hold negative views about aging actually age worse physically and mentally. It's like writing a self-defeating script for our future selves. The cost of age stereotypes is immense. Lost opportunities for mentorship, missed chances for innovation through cross-generational collaboration, and the waste of human potential at both ends of the age spectrum. National stereotypes. National stereotypes are like comfortable old armchairs, easy to fall into but hard to get out of. They reduce entire nations of diverse individuals into simple caricatures. The workaholic Japanese, the punctual Germans, the laid-back Italians. These stereotypes often begin with a grain of truth, cultural tendencies shaped by history, geography, and social structures, but they quickly become oversimplified shortcuts that ignore the rich diversity within each nation and the rapid changes in our globalized world. What makes national stereotypes particularly interesting is how they shape international relations and business. They can influence everything from tourism and trade to diplomacy and conflict resolution. It's like viewing the world through a series of funhouse mirrors, each distorting reality in its own way. These beliefs often become self-aware jokes within the stereotype nations themselves. The British might lean into their reputation for politeness and dry humor, while Americans might play up their reputation for optimism and informality. It becomes a kind of cultural performance. The paradox of national stereotypes is that while they can create barriers between peoples, they also reveal our human tendency to seek patterns and create order from chaos. Understanding this can help us move beyond these simplistic views. Most fascinating is how these stereotypes evolve with changing global power dynamics. As nations rise and fall in global influence, their stereotypes shift, showing how these beliefs reflect power relationships as much as cultural realities. Professional stereotypes. Professional stereotypes are like uniforms we unconsciously assign to different careers. The strict teacher, the cold doctor, the sleazy car salesman. These mental shortcuts shape not only how we view others, but how professionals view themselves. These stereotypes often contain contradictions. Doctors are seen as both caring healers and detached scientists, teachers as both nurturing mentors and rigid disciplinarians, lawyers as both defenders of justice and manipulative tricksters. It's as if each profession carries a dual identity in our collective imagination. What makes professional stereotypes unique is their self-fulfilling nature. People often unconsciously conform to the expectations of their profession, adopting mannerisms and attitudes associated with their role. It's like stepping onto a stage and becoming the character society expects. Beliefs affect career choices in profound ways. People might avoid certain professions that don't match their self-image or face resistance when entering fields that don't match their gender, race, or personality type. The stereotypes become invisible barriers to career mobility. Professional stereotypes also influence how we interact with service providers. Our expectations can affect medical outcomes, educational success, and legal proceedings. When we expect a certain type of behavior, we often interpret actions to confirm these expectations. Perhaps most importantly, these stereotypes can prevent innovation within professions. When we have fixed ideas about how a professional should act or work, it becomes harder to accept new approaches or methods. Religious stereotypes. Religious stereotypes are among our oldest and most deeply rooted mental shortcuts, often passed down through generations like family heirlooms. They shape how we view both our own and others' faiths, creating invisible walls between communities. These stereotypes tend to reduce complex belief systems to their most visible or extreme elements. It's like judging an entire library by a single book, missing the vast diversity of interpretations and practices within each faith tradition. What makes religious stereotypes particularly powerful is their connection to core identity and values. Unlike professional or national stereotypes, religious beliefs often touch on fundamental questions of existence and morality. This makes these stereotypes more emotionally charged and resistant to change. The media plays a crucial role in reinforcing or challenging these stereotypes. News coverage often focuses on extremes or conflicts, while everyday religious life and positive contributions go unreported. It's like viewing a tapestry through a keyhole, seeing only a tiny portion of the whole. These stereotypes affect everything from international relations to local community interactions. They can influence hiring decisions, housing opportunities, and social connections. In some cases, they create self-fulfilling prophecies as religious communities become isolated in response to prejudice. The greatest irony of religious stereotypes is that they often contradict the core teachings of the very faiths they claim to represent. Many religions preach understanding and acceptance, yet their followers can become trapped in cycles of prejudice and misunderstanding. socioeconomic stereotypes. Socioeconomic stereotypes are like invisible fences that divide our society, creating assumptions about people based on their perceived wealth or poverty. These beliefs run so deep that they often feel like natural laws rather than social constructs. The power of these stereotypes lies in how they shape both opportunities and self-perception. When we label poor people as lazy or rich people as greedy, we're not just describing economic status. We're assigning moral values. It's like writing a script that people feel compelled to follow. What makes these stereotypes particularly insidious is their self-reinforcing nature. Children internalize these beliefs early, affecting their aspirations and self-worth. A child from a low-input family might limit their dreams not because of actual barriers, but because of internalized beliefs about what's possible for people like them. The middle class faces its own unique stereotypes, often portrayed as conformist, struggling to maintain appearances, or trapped in suburban monotony. These beliefs can create pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, even at the cost of financial stability or personal fulfillment. These stereotypes affect everything from hiring decisions to healthcare quality. Studies show that people from different socioeconomic backgrounds receive different treatment in various settings, even when all other factors are equal. It's like wearing an invisible label that others react to unconsciously. Perhaps most damaging is how these stereotypes blind us to the complex realities of economic mobility and the systemic factors that create and maintain economic inequality. They reduce complex social issues to simple character flaws or virtues. Appearance-based stereotypes. Appearance-based stereotypes are among our most immediate and visceral prejudices, activating within seconds of seeing someone. These snap judgments about people based on their looks have shaped human interaction since our earliest societies. These stereotypes operate like a visual shorthand, linking physical features to assumed personality traits. Tall people are seen as leaders, overweight people as lacking self-retrieve, attractive people as more competent. It's as if we're reading a book where the cover determines the entire story. What makes these stereotypes particularly powerful is their connection to multi-billion-dollar industries. Beauty standards aren't just social constructs. They're actively marketed and sold to us through media, fashion, and beauty products. We're not just judging appearances. We're participating in a vast economic system built on these judgments. The impact on mental health and self-esteem can be devastating. People spend enormous energy trying to conform to often impossible standards, leading to eating disorders, anxiety, and depression. It's like living in a house of mirrors where every reflection shows our flaws. These stereotypes create real economic and social consequences. Studies consistently show that appearance affects everything from hiring decisions to judicial sentencing. Even small variations in how we present ourselves can lead to significantly different treatment. The irony is that while we invest so much in appearance, these superficial judgments often prevent us from seeing the true complexity and worth of individuals. We miss the richness of human character by focusing on its packaging. educational stereotypes. Educational stereotypes act like sorting hats in our society, categorizing people based on their academic achievements, chosen subjects, or learning styles. These beliefs shape not just education itself, but life opportunities and social status. The divide between academic and practical subjects creates artificial hierarchies that influence career choices and self-worth. Science and mathematics are often viewed as subjects for smart people, while arts and humanities are seen as soft options. This creates a false dichotomy that ignores the complex skills needed in all fields. What makes these stereotypes particularly harmful is their early impact on children's development. When we label students as gifted or struggling, we're not just describing their current performance, we're often creating self-fulfilling prophecies that can last a lifetime. The stereotype of the good student, quiet, compliant, and good at standardized tests, fails to recognize diverse forms of intelligence and learning styles. It's like trying to judge all animals by their ability to climb trees, as Einstein's famous quote suggests. These beliefs also affect teaching methods and educational policy. When we assume certain groups are better at particular subjects, we might unconsciously teach them differently or provide different opportunities. This creates cycles of advantage and disadvantage that can span generations. School cliques and social groupings often reinflict and reinforce these stereotypes, creating social hierarchies that can impact students' social development and future networking opportunities. Regional stereotypes? Regional stereotypes divide our mental maps into territories of assumed traits and behaviors. Whether it's the sophisticated urbanite, the simple country dweller, or the laid-back coastal resident, these beliefs color how we view both places and their people. The urban-rural divide has become particularly pronounced in recent years, affecting political discourse and social policy. City dwellers are often stereotyped as elitist and disconnected from real life, while rural residents are viewed as backwards or unsophisticated. This creates artificial divisions that ignore the complex interconnections between urban and rural areas. What makes regional stereotypes fascinating is their resistance to change, even in our highly mobile, connected world. Despite increasing population movement and cultural exchange, these beliefs persist, often becoming self-reinforcing as people choose where to live based on perceived regional characteristics. These stereotypes affect everything from economic development to personal opportunities. Businesses might avoid certain regions based on stereotypes about the local workforce, while individuals might limit their career options based on assumptions about different areas. The North-South divide in many countries reflects historical, economic, and cultural differences that have evolved into broader assumptions about character and capability. These beliefs can become self-fulfilling prophecies as they influence investment and development patterns. Perhaps most ironically, regional stereotypes often persist even as the actual differences between regions decrease due to globalization and technological advancement. We cling to these distinctions even as they become less relevant to daily life. Personalized stereotypes. Personality stereotypes function like character templates in a play, categorizing people into neat boxes that oversimplify human complexity. The introvert-extrovert divide, in particular, has become a powerful lens through which we view human behavior. These stereotypes create false dichotomies. Leaders must be bold and outspoken. Creatives must be chaotic and emotional. Analytical people must be cold and logical. It's like forcing everyone to wear one of a few pre-made costumes, ignoring the infinite variations of human personality. What makes these stereotypes particularly interesting is how they've been amplified by popular psychology and personality tests. While these tools can provide useful insights, they often reinforce rigid categories that don't capture the fluid, context-dependent nature of human behavior. The impact of these beliefs is especially visible in professional settings. Certain personalities are seen as better suited for specific roles: extroverts for sales, introverts for technical work, leading to missed opportunities and talent misallocation. It's like casting a play based only on actors' physical appearances. These stereotypes also affect how we view leadership. The assumption that leaders must be extroverted and commanding ignores the effectiveness of quiet, thoughtful leadership styles. This bias can prevent capable individuals from pursuing leadership roles or being recognized for their potential. Most profoundly, personality stereotypes can become self-limiting prophecies. When people internalize these labels, "I'm too introverted to speak up," or "I'm too analytical to be creative," they artificially limit their own growth and potential. Liff says stereotypes. Lifestyle stereotypes act as social scripts that dictate how we should live based on our life choices. These beliefs create powerful narratives about what constitutes a normal or successful life path. The married versus single divide perhaps best exemplifies these stereotypes. Single people are often viewed as either incomplete or selfish, while married people are seen as either settled or trapped. These simplistic views ignore the rich diversity of human relationships and life choices. What makes lifestyle stereotypes particularly powerful is their connection to social status and perceived success. The traditional life path, marriage, house, children, is often seen as the default, making any deviation feel like a failure rather than a choice. It's like having a social GPS that only recognizes one route to happiness. Parenting stereotypes create additional pressure, with working mothers criticized for neglecting their children and stay-at-home parents viewed as lacking ambition. Meanwhile, child-free individuals face assumptions about their maturity or selfishness. These judgments create unnecessary stress and conflict. The work-life balance stereotype suggests that success requires sacrifice in either career or personal life. This false dichotomy ignores the many ways people can create fulfilling lives that combine different elements in unique ways. Perhaps most significantly, these stereotypes often fail to account for changing social norms and economic realities. Traditional life paths may no longer be feasible or desirable for many people. Yet the stereotypes persist, creating a gap between expectations and reality. These lifestyle stereotypes particularly affect younger generations, who face different economic and social circumstances than their predecessors. The pressure to conform to traditional life patterns, despite changed conditions, can create significant psychological stress and financial strain. The rise of social media has amplified these stereotypes, creating carefully curated images of perfect lives that further reinforce unrealistic expectations. It's like watching a highlight reel and believing it represents everyday life. The most liberating realization about lifestyle stereotypes is that they're entirely constructed. There is no right way to live a life. Understanding this can free people to make choices based on their own values and circumstances rather than societal expectations. These stereotypes also intersect with and amplify other forms of bias, particularly around gender, class, and culture. What's considered a successful lifestyle often reflects specific cultural and economic privileges, making these standards both unattainable and irrelevant for many people.